Did you know there's a firearm that practically feeds itself? What if I told you there's a gun so innovative it could change everything you thought you knew about firearms? Stay to the end because this story is a wild ride of science, desperation, and one man's brilliant ingenuity. Let's wind back the clock to World War II, a time when necessity became the mother of invention in a way that the world of firearms had never seen before. Amidst the chaos of gunfire and explosions, a groundbreaking innovation quietly emerged in the form of the self-feeding rifle. Yes, you heard that right. A gun that, in essence, seemed to fulfill one of every soldier's dreams: automatic reloading without needing manual intervention or external mechanisms. Meet the Krumlauf rifle attachment, a name that might sound more like a riddle than a weapon. This was an innovation born of sheer battlefield necessity during Germany's military efforts in World War II. But before we dive into its engineering marvel and completely mind-boggling functionality, let's get some context. Why was a self-reloading feature even a thing to begin with? Well, the Krumlauf wasn't just any ordinary invention. It was created as a response to mechanical and tactical challenges soldiers faced when using the Sturmgewehr 44, or STG 44, which became one of the first modern assault rifles. To understand its significance, it helps to acknowledge the tactical nightmares soldiers dealt with during World War II. Picture this: narrow trenches, unpredictable urban conflict, and enemies lurking at every corner. Firefights weren't just about brute strength. They were about agility, speed, and often survival in extremely unforgiving environments. Soldiers needed something that combined firepower with adaptability. Enter Hugo Schmeisser, the legendary firearms designer often credited for his work on advancing the STG 44. But here's the twist. While the STG 44 gained much of the spotlight, the modifications that came after Schmeisser's initial design would leave an equally lasting impression. The Krumlauf was one such modification, and in its simplest terms, it was a curved barrel attachment designed to allow weapons to shoot around corners. Yes, corners. Now, you may be wondering, what does shooting around corners have to do with reloading? Well, here's where things get interesting. Engineers realized that a gun that required the soldier to reload while exposing themselves would not serve its purpose effectively in close combat. The accessory became more than just a curved barrel. It mimicked a rudimentary sort of self-reloading mechanism, relying on redirected force and pressure dynamics. This is where the physics behind it still leaves military historians in awe. While it wasn't truly self-loading in the sense of modern automated systems, it felt self-contained and revolutionary because the shooter didn't have to interrupt their position to interact with the internal feeding mechanism. What made this innovation truly stand out was its hybrid simplicity. A mix of ingenuity and necessity, the Krumlauf rifle attachment used the rifle's ejection mechanics in ways previously unheard of. By combining curve dynamics for bullet trajectory alignment with boosted pressure channels to account for gravitational loss, it essentially created an environment where the feeding of ammunition into the chamber could feel almost effortless, almost automatic. So, where did this lead? Honestly, not where you think. On paper, it gave Nazi soldiers a major tactical advantage, bridging the physics of gravitational feeds with battlefield ingenuity. But the concept also stretched itself thin as engineers bumped into unavoidable obstacles of curvature precision. While the attachment saw limited deployment, mainly tank crews and urban sharpshooters, its practical shortcomings ended up outweighing its grandiose aspirations. Still, it isn't its deployment that makes this design one for the books. It's that it set the benchmark for inventive ways firearms could reimagine themselves. Even as it faded from production shortly after the war, its speculative DNA lived on and influenced systems of the future. Now you're probably wondering, why doesn't anyone talk about this? Well, two reasons. First, historical bias. You hear a lot about the M1 Garand, the AK-47, and other iconic weapons, but innovations like the Krumlauf rifle attachment often get drowned out. Secondly, because its limitations confined it mostly to tacticians' imaginations rather than regular practical use. In the vacuum of technical development, other firearm evolutions eventually filled the lineage gaps it wanted to claim. But that doesn't mean we shouldn't celebrate what it accomplished during its brief moment in history. Even today, gunsmiths and experimental engineers look back at its blueprints, seeing it as one of the first moments that firearms started thinking for themselves. It was innovative, it was science fiction turned reality, and it paved the way for shooters to rethink their relationship with technology. Fascinatingly, without the idea of ammunition circulation flow from a feature like the Krumlauf, today's drum-fed assault rifles and rotary machine models may have taken much longer to evolve as standards. In many ways, it's a forgotten hero that shaped modern armament. Summing up, sometimes the most brilliant creations are the ones that seem almost too crazy for their time. And hey, it's not every day you get to hear about a firefight gadget that was literally ahead of the curve. Pun definitely intended. So, what do you think? Could this self-feeding design ever make a comeback in a modern era obsessed with fluid functionality and soldier safety? Share your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hold tight. There are plenty more unbelievable firearm stories coming your way next. Stay curious, stay inspired, and most of all, keep asking questions that look beyond the obvious. See you in the next one.